It's Robert Verney, The Real Deal. Mesdames et messieurs, bonsoir encore. Moi, c'est Robert Duvernay. Comme vous connaissez que show ça vient jeune nous chaque lundi à partir de 8h jusqu'à 9h. Eh bien, semaine ça, nous avons pile à dire et nous avons une semaine qui est chargée, comme nous sommes dans la deuxième semaine du mois d'octobre, je dirais que dans le 12 octobre, et nous avons regardé qui ça qui est actualité qu'a fait et qui ça qui est important pour nous-mêmes encore qui aussi aux États-Unis, parce que nous avons une période d'élection et que nous tiens à ce que nous répéter ça à maintes occasions. Et c'est ça que nous avons fait, nous là, pour nous mettre éclaircissement et tout ça qui est un peu noir, qui est un peu trouble pour quelques monde, pour nous mettre là sur table et ensuite déchiffrer. Eh bien, je dis ça, on a parlé avec aujourd'hui, c'est the second round set of stimulus. Well, we have a second round of stimulus in the Senate, which fell flat. The House has requested $3 trillion stimulus, but they were willing to go to 2.2. However, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, along with Steve Mnuchin, the Secretary of Treasury, they were going back and forth as to see what's the best way to deal with the coronavirus relief. There's still a lot of people out of work who cannot meet the rent, the mortgage, and as you know, some of those kids are still home, unable to go to school, and it's still a mess. We're not yet out the roots yet. However, unfortunately, in the Senate, it was dead on arrival. It was a DOA, dead on arrival. The Senate believed that with 27 Republicans who do not think that it's important that they go ahead with that second round of stimulus. However, the American people are still suffering, and we have an election that's looming for the next few days. Now we're only counting days until the next election. So the House, in discussion they had with the White House, the president had said that he wants something bigger. You know, the president always wants something big, bigger than what the House requested. So he was looking in north of 2.8 trillion dollars. So the president wanted to send out a check to everyone, and he's a good president, wanted to send out a check to everyone. But the House wanted to go at 2.2. That didn't go through, yet they negotiated to 1.8 trillion. However, the Senate said, no, we're not doing it. So this is where we are, and again, the people are still suffering. You need to contact your congressman, your senator of the state. We have two here in the state of Florida. We need to contact them. The governor cannot do much, but I was hoping that the governor could make some calls and call the senators of your respective states to move on this stimulus package, because there are still Americans that are hurting, and it's, to me, I don't think it's appropriate that they're not making the effort in reaching a deal that will be both beneficial to the economy and at the same time to the average folks. Leader McConnell from the Senate, who's the leader for the Republican Party, he wanted a package back in July 9th, that will cap the eligibility for at 40,000 income. So in other words, the only way that Leader Mitch McConnell would see that you'll get a stimulus check, that's only if you are making $40,000 or less. So the Senate Majority Leader said he would consider capping eligibility for a second stimulus check at $40,000 income. Now, the Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, said that he does support another round of economic impact payments. The level and criteria will be discussing with the Senate. Well, that's been in the Senate ever since then, since July 9th. Look at it, we're in October. 3 months later, the needle has not changed. It has not moved, and we need to contact your senators, and these guys, they are for re-election. So if they don't deliver, you the American people. You are their boss, so you're gonna go to a ballot box and make sure your voice is heard. That's the only time we can make these guys move on certain things. And well, right now, I don't foresee any movement in the Senate with regards to the stimulus package, but the Senate is good for that. They work in the midnight hours, and they may do something on the eve of the election. Who knows? Who knows? I'm still hopeful some type of agreement will reach, and both the Senate and the House will reconcile the bill, and the president can sign it. So until that happens, it's a stall effort, but we need to do more. Now, later on that, on July 27th, just to give you a recap, the Senate Republicans introduced a bill of $1,200 checks. Okay, where did that go? Nowhere. So I believe that these guys, pretty much what they're doing, they bringing up something on the table that would get you all worked up, thinking that there's something in the works. In reality, nothing's been done. There's a saying in politics that talk is cheap because it doesn't amount to anything. You can give lip service all you want, but the American people are still hurting. And we've seen it on the street. We've seen these people at our churches, at our grocery store. They're going through a lot of difficult time. And then this is what we elect our elected officials, just so they can work on behalf of the American people. But until they do that, we're not being represented as we're supposed to. Now, on July 30th, now remember that we talk about July 9th, we get these guys, they're showing you that something is happening, but in reality, nothing's happening. Now, on July 30th, GOP senators proposed $1,000 stimulus checks. Now, remember that Mitch McConnell, the leader for the Republican Party in the Senate, on July 9th, he said, well, for anyone to be a beneficiary of that second round of stimulus, he would cap it at $40,000. So in other words, those of you who are making north of $100,000, or you wouldn't be eligible. Now on July 27th, he introduced another bill. That did not go anywhere. Now on July 30th, 3 days later, he proposed a bill that will donate, we would write a check of $1,000 to both adults and children. Under the proposal, a family of 4 could receive $4,000. So in other words, every member of the family would get $1,000. A family of 4, you do the math, 4 times 1, $1,000 each, that's $4,000. That would be appropriate, because the first bill capped it at 6. I understand the first round of stimulus really helped the economy, and what we can do right now is to keep our congressmen, keep their feet on the fire. You know, we need to keep them accountable. All right. So on August 13th, now on August 13th, Congress breaks without passing stimulus. Remember that before they went to that recess, right? Remember that Congress went to recess, nothing happened, and they made promises, and then promises after promises, they never deliver. So now here we are in October, and they have not touched that. So there was on September 10th, and the Senate Republican failed to move small aid bill. So in other words, although they're trying to scam that bill, in other words, they were removing a lot of provisions that were in place. However, that bill still fell. I think with that first stimulus that passed in the House back in April of this year, the Senate said, well, we going down the drain. They're looking at the deficit, how far they can go with regards to the debt. So they got cold feet and they pulled back. So this is where we are. This is where we are. September 30th, to say the least, both parties still want more $1,200 check. They said they both wanted, both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party in both the Senate and the House, and yet nothing has done. We're still waiting. I'm hopeful. Again, like I said, we have to be hopeful, and the only way we can be hopeful, we have to keep these lawmakers accountable. How you make them accountable, again, I repeat, is to make sure you vote. You let them know that there's an election around the corner, and your doomsdays are coming, and that's when you go to the poll and you make sure that you exercise that right. Again, let's hope that they get the act together. Again, the Senate has a tendency to work during the midnight hours. I think these guys have a better vision or better understanding when it comes to night. That's the reason why I'm still hopeful that something will be done. So how much it would be, we don't know. Right now, the House is willing to settle at 1.8 trillion, and the Senate said no. There's 27 Republicans who would say no, we're not touching this with a 10-foot pole. And the president would love to have a bigger and a larger stimulus package that would cover more for businesses, police, and firefighters, and teachers, and businesses, a host of other things that will stimulate the economy. And the president wants to incorporate that in the package. However, he's having some real difficulty with his member of his own party in the Senate. So until that's taken care of, we just have to hang tight and hopefully for the best. It is 8:28. We're gonna go to the second segment. Like I said, we have so much to cover. I'm gonna go toward the latest poll. As you know, in the presidential poll, that my title here is called about stimulus and latest presidential poll. On the latest poll that we've seen a shift in the poll. A lot of people are out voting, and that's a sign that the American people really making a statement. Regardless of your party affiliation, it doesn't matter. So what's important is that you're exercising that voting right that is so dear. Only a few can exercise that. And well, today my colleague from the great state of Georgia, who once mentioned that the voting will start, the 2 weeks voting started today in the great state of Georgia, August 12th. Actually October 12th. The early voting already started in Georgia, so it's already underway. Based on the latest information that we received from the state of Georgia, we had lines for miles. The people out there, they're taking time off from work. They're going out to vote. They really want to exercise that right, and they know it's critical, this election. They're not taking anything for granted. They're not leaving anything on the table. So I think as Americans, we must act, we must vote, and we must mobilize and getting these people out to the poll. Like I said, it does not matter which party you're affiliated with, but what's important is that you're exercising that noble right that you have. Well, in the latest poll we have here, let's look at the great state of Minnesota. Minnesota, we have President Trump versus Vice President Biden. According to Clear Politics, it's at 47-40, an advantage of VP Biden. VP Biden is at 7 points over President Trump in the great state of Minnesota. In Wisconsin, there's a state that President Trump won in 2016. It's not looking too good for the president from the last time. VP Biden is looking at 51-41, so there's a lead of 10 points here. So as you can see, the trend here, VP Biden is doing very well in those polls. It's very important, especially in Wisconsin. It's very important that if you want to win the White House, and it's critical that you win those small states. They're not big, but guess what? Every bit counts. Every bit counts. So we need to keep in mind that although he's doing well in some state, and then the election we still have days out. We would still have like another 22 days until the election. So in politics, this is a lifetime. Okay, so that's the reason why we're not gonna get our foot off the pedal, because once you do that, you run out of gas. If you run out of gas, the other party is willing to take the lead, especially where you lacked up. Now, in the great state of, let me see here, in the great state of Michigan, Michigan VP Biden is doing very well there. He has a lead. Yeah, the last poll we have here is that Biden is up by 5 points in Michigan, which is pretty good. I mean, those are the states that President Trump won in 2016, and those states are turning toward VP Biden, which is a good thing. And forward about it. If it was Trump who was leading in those states, we'll say this is good for him because he's maintaining the previous state that he won in 2016. But we could see there's a shift. There's a shift in the poll. There's a shift in the choices that the residents of that state is making. They're making a statement. Those residents are making a statement to let Washington know that they need change or they need continuity. So if they want continuity, they'll maintain the incumbent president. Now, if they want something new, definitely they will go ahead and vote President Biden. Okay, VP Biden. All right, and not only that, we also have some polling with regards to other states as well. Let's say in the state of Colorado, which is a very important key state. VP Biden is at 50 and President Trump is at 40. And those are dated as of October 11th, just yesterday. So those are very current polls. And then it's looking good for VP Biden. Now, in the state of Nevada, VP Biden is at 52, whereas President Trump is at 46. So there's a six give or take minus 6 points differential in favor of VP Biden. Again, like I said, Michigan is at 52, Biden 52 in Michigan, and President Trump is at 46. Again, another 6 points. You know, these fluctuate every now and then. It was 5 last week, now it's 6, just 1 point differential. Those speaks volume. Okay, those speaks volume. So then we have some Senate race as well as, particularly the one I'm watching is the one in South Carolina. In South Carolina, we have a gentleman named Jamie Harrison. He's an African American gentleman who's running for that, trying to unseat longtime senator from the great state of South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is the current chairman for the Judiciary panel in the Senate. This is his panel where if you're going to confirm anybody to the Supreme Court, which has to do with legal issues, so you have to go before his panel, and he's the chairman. So he calls the shot. It's a very powerful position, and again, it has to do with seniority, and of course, you have to be in charge of your party to be the chairman of that committee. So I'm going to touch about the Supreme Court just so you know. Today, it was the first day of opening statement by to-be Justice Barrett, Judge Barrett, who was at Capitol Hill today before the Senate to present her case to the American people and where she stands. And I think both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, they held themselves above the fray. They maintained the professionalism. This is what we expect from our elected leaders, that they reflect the American people. And because the whole world is watching us, and we cannot have food fight, and then let's technically court the individual on his or her records. These are the things that will aspire, others to join politics or to join even a judgeship, because comme j'ai dit plusieurs occasions, comme a dit Faustin Lecoulange, là où l'homme a passé, il doit laisser des vestiges de sa vie et de son intelligence à sa postérité. C'est très très important que, étant donné que nous-mêmes, c'est des leaders, nous soi-disant que nous allons occuper un poste public. Et il y a des gens qui dépendent de nous-mêmes, il y a des gens qui nous inspirent demain à venir joindre un mouvement ou bien joindre une profession. Alors, nous sommes obligés de jouer ça très bien parce qu'il y a des gens qui dépendent de nous-mêmes. Et je dis, je suis capable de dire que monsieur dans le scénario, il était présenté très bien, vice-président, futur vice-président Kamala Harris, il n'est pas capable là en personne, il était fait à travers Internet. Good evening, good evening, good evening, my dear friends. I have Dr. Azor in the house. I have Fanette Paul from the great city of Orlando, Florida here. And I also have Mr. Odelsons from the great county of Miami-Dade. And also, of course, thank you for joining me this evening, the live broadcast. Again, just a little recap, those of you just joining me right now. We're just covering the stimulus package, which has been stalled in the Senate. The Senate doesn't think it's a good idea that they pass a stimulus of 1.8 trillion, and also the White House would love to have a bigger package in the north of 2.8, whereas the House right now wanted a 2.2 trillion, and after back and forth negotiation with Steve Mnuchin, which is who is the current Treasury Secretary, they came down to 1.8. So this is where we are, and things are moving. Again, kudos to the great state of Georgia. Georgia started their early voting this morning. I've seen long lines in Georgia, and kudos to you, Georgia. Those of you who are watching me from the great state of Georgia, I encourage you to go ahead and exercise that right. Like I said again, it does not matter which party you're affiliated with. The idea is you out there exercising your right, and then you have a say on the table. It's very important. Thank you. We're gonna move right along. Like I said, we have a lot on the plate here this evening, and we just want to make sure that we all are connected with each other in terms of what's at stake, and the importance of these movements. And like I said, let's keep it. We're turning Georgia blue. Wow, I'd love to see that happen. The day Georgia turn blue, this will be the day. It will be a historical period in America. Imagine Georgia's turned blue. My God, that will be the day. That will be the day. But that's wishful thinking. That's wishful thinking. But never say never, right? Never say never. All right. Now, again, the next segment I'd like to touch with you is the mailing ballot. I'm sure most of you, maybe with your work schedule or with your profession, time is of the essence. You may not have the time to vote in person, and although we have a 2 week window, but the line's gonna be a record. It's gonna be a record this year. Never before. So I just want to give you a little history about the state of Florida. Just this year, and during the primary election in the great state of Florida, it's been reported that 500,000 mailing ballots were unaccounted. 500,000, that's 500,000 ballots were unaccounted. Now you'd wonder, why were they unaccounted for? Well, during the presidential primary in Florida, 18,504 mailing ballots were not counted toward the overall result of the election, according to analysis by the healthyelections.org. What happened is most of these ballots that people requested, like I said, like people, you have many ways to vote. They make it easy on you to vote. You can either vote in person, you can do the mailing, you can do absentee ballot, you can do the mailing, you can do the early voting. So these are all ways I think we should take advantage of. And if one does not work for you, then pick the other one. So what happened in the state of Florida? I mean, we know Florida has a history when it comes to election. And for some reason, ever since we botched the 2000 elections, we were a laughing stock to a lot of states around the nation. So I guess because we are special in Florida, we are, and we have a diversity population here. We have the best politicians. We have the best people, and we have the best teachers in town. So of course, so whenever you have the best, there's going to be some that's going to fall within the cracks. So when it comes to the election, we tend to look the other way in some instances, and then we're so busy doing other things. We have the beach here. We have the great sun. It's so much going on when it comes to election. We just go to the beach and then forget that we have to count the ballots. All right, so that's what happened. But anyway, to make a long story short, that could happen again during the presidential election. Because if it happened once, just recently, and during the primary here, we've seen that 500,000 ballots, like a quarter, half a million were called for. Yes, indeed, we are special. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. So although when we count those ballots, I mean, we're going to have 18,000. That's what unaccounted for. Now, why were they unaccounted for? Well, most of the time, people do not follow instruction. So I cannot say it loud. People do not follow instruction. They don't like to follow instruction. But people, if you make the effort to request a ballot, okay, the best you can do is take your time. And that's the reason you do it at the comfort of your home. You don't have to rush it. Just take your time. Maybe when you have that tea time in the morning or on the Saturday morning, just fill it out. Fill it out and use a black ink. Use a black ink and mail it in. And then your vote will be counted. And then the beauty about it, you can even track your vote. I mean, with so many ballots requested during this election, for the presidential election, the state will allow the supervisory elections to start counting those votes way before the November 3rd. So in other words, they're not gonna release it to the public, but they will make it available to the public officials in Tallahassee or where they are. But then again, because there's so much demand for mailing ballots and also absentee ballot, and we thank our great governor, Mr. DeSantis, for really promoting the 2 weeks period, which would start next Monday the 19th. That's when the early voting will begin in the state of Florida. So those of you who are listening, who's watching us live right now, you have a unique opportunity in the next 2 weeks to go in person, wherever you may be in your county. So you could only vote within your county. So if you live in Palm Beach and you work in Miami-Dade County, unfortunately you won't be able to vote in Miami-Dade County, but you have to travel to Palm Beach, which is the county that you reside, and vote at any polling place where they're accepting early voting. So it doesn't matter. And then all you need is your driver license. You don't even need your voter registration because all the information is linked with your driver license. So you're just making things easy on you. Okay, my brother Guy Azor, man, thank you for logging in. I've not heard from my brother in ages, but thank you for logging in, my brother. Yes, great state of Georgia. I'm sure you probably voted this morning, but I congratulate you, sir. All right. Now, another thing I'd like to talk about, although we have this in place, what I wanted to talk to you about this evening, because I know time is running, and it is important that we keep those in mind. Again, this morning we've seen what happened in the Senate. Again, it was the hearing for Judge Barrett, who was nominated by President Trump to fill the vacant seat vacated by RGB, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who passed away last month. And she's a well-educated woman. She's a student of Antonin Scalia. So in other words, she clerked for Justice Antonin Scalia, who was a brilliant mind, and Judge Barrett shows that she's very brilliant, and this is who we want in the Supreme Court. You may differ on certain things that the moment is not appropriate of what happened in 2016. Remember in 2016 with it was an election year. It was a presidential election year. 2016 in February, President Obama appointed Merrick Garland. Unfortunately, the Senate at the moment still was in control by the Republican Party. They didn't think it was a great idea because they were in election year. The president is on his way out. They thought it was proper to let that decision made by the incumbent president, who they knew was going to be the president from their party, because it was taking a big gamble. So, but they wanted the people to have a say. Again, that was in February, and when Justice Antonin Scalia had passed away, and the election wasn't until November, and they didn't think it was appropriate. Now you could see from February to November, those of you who are good at math, you're looking at 7 month, actually a 9 month gap. You see, my math is off here. A 9 month gap. So 9 plus 2 is 11. So you have 9 months. Okay, that's 3/4 of a year. Now you think about it. They don't think it was appropriate to bring a new justice until the next election. Now the table turns around right now. Now they're in control of the Senate, they're in control of the White House. And what happened? Another justice just passed. Just last month. Just last month. And toward the end of the month. Late in the month. And they rushed it. That's fine. But you know what? I think what's important here, what we need to tell young people, and is to be true to what you said on paper. If you don't think it was appropriate back then, why would it be appropriate now? That's a question we need to ask ourselves. Are we being truthful to the American people? They counted on us. They voted us in so we can reflect the best in America. What makes us Americans is the ideals that we live by. That we all equal. That we all share the same dream for America. We want the very best for America. And this is what we need to pass on to the new generation. Yes, you said it best, my dear sister. It's pure hypocrisy. You could not have said it better. That's hypocrisy 101. So when things like that happen, what we tell our people, that what I say does not matter. What I said yesterday is irrelevant. Think about it. Well, fortunately, there's an election, and election does have consequences. We hope that the very best in America prevail in this upcoming election. We pray that we continue on that path, whereas we may disagree without being disagreeable. So that's what makes us American. We could fight on ideas, but at the end of the day, the best ideas prevail, and then we shake hands and say, you know what, we go at it again tomorrow. But I think you win tonight. And then yes, when I win or you win, America wins. And then that's what we need to portray. Just so I can pass it, there's a side note I'd like to, something that just comes to mind. I wouldn't leave tonight without sending my condolences to the McCain family. Senator John McCain's mom, Roberta McCain, died today. She was 108. 108, a century plus 8. She lived a long life. She raised an American hero in the person of John McCain. I dedicate this show to the McCain family for the service by John McCain, a great senator, a maverick in the Senate. We sure missed you. We missed your voice in the Senate. He's a man who tells you like it is. If it's blue, he's gonna tell you it's blue. It's not gonna tell you it's gray. He's gonna tell you exactly like it is, with respect, with dignity, and respect of the law. So the McCain family, my condolences. Be strong. You live an exemplary life. Americans all over the world are proud of you, and the service your son had given America. Thank you. Okay. Now, if there is another thing I'd like to share with you before we close on this note is make sure that you walk with your driver license, and then if you plan on voting early, it's the 19th in the state of Florida, 19th, which is next Monday. Next Monday at this time, you can start voting in person. Again, at any precinct, any booth where they're accepting early voting, please do so. Okay? All right, I have a question here. What do you think happened to the Republican Party, the party of morals, fiscal responsibility, etc.? That's a brilliant question. I think those days, we're living in a different time. Those days are over. Just recently in the 80s, you could think of the likes of President Reagan, President George H. Bush, Bush Sr. These guys, they were true politicians. They were about morals, they were about values. They did not see a party first, but they saw America first. I think this is what happened with our current culture right now with these politicians. They're missing the mark by a football field, and it's pretty sad. And then when we talk to young people these days, they have a bad taste when it comes to politics. And politics, it's great. I mean, think about public service. Anyone who go into public service, I think it's a vocation. Just like you, teachers, professors, counselor, we admire your service. You are a public servant. You sacrifice so much to serve. And in this, I think we need to go back to the true meaning of public service. And then we have a discord when it comes to public service. And then the Republican Party, they were the champion when it comes to high moral values, fiscal responsibility, and law and order, and also foreign policies. And we do not have that anymore. But I still have hope. I'm hopeful that sooner or later there'll be a birth there'll be a birth of a new generation that will take the mantle to carry on. And I pray that you don't get discouraged, don't lose faith in the system, because every so often, every generation comes with its curse and with its ideologies. But then again, eventually we'll come back and then represent the true face, the true meaning of America. Okay? Don't lose hope now. Thank you very much. Very, very interesting question. Thank you so much for these wonderful questions. Okay, yeah. So like I was saying, it's important that we use those 2 weeks window, which already started in Georgia, and in Florida it will be the 19th, and until the 1st of November in the state of Florida. Take advantage of these 2 weeks and to either cast your vote. Now, if you want to request absentee ballot, it's not too late. According to the voting system here in the in the state of Florida, if you want to request an absentee ballot or mail-in ballot, you can do it 10 days prior to the actual election day. So in other words, the election is on the 3rd of November, so 10 days prior, that's the latest you can order it, because once you order it, within those 10 days, once they receive the request, the supervisor of election has 2 days to return that to you. So if it's 10 days, the 10 days before the election. So in other words, that'll be October 24th. So you have October 24th to November 3rd, that give you 10 days. So within those 10 days, this is it. If you don't request it within those 10 days, it will be too late. You won't be able to vote by mail. So once you request it, they will definitely send it to you, and you fill it out and mail it in. Once you request it, the supervisor of election has 2 days to forward that to you, and so your vote can be received on time, because if you receive at a later time, it may not be counted. All right. That's a good question. I just have a question here. If you receive a ballot, you have not received it yet, but there are 2 things you can do. You can put another request, or even call them to see if it's not lost in the mail, because you still have time. You know, like I said, we have you have until technically October 24th. Now, if I were you, just to be on the safe side, since today is already the 12th, if I see by the 15th, I don't see it, which is the 15th, which is sometime this week, Thursday this week. If you don't receive it by the 15th, I think my hope will be kind of damning a little bit. I would probably just go ahead and take advantage of the early voting, which begins on Monday, the following Monday, the 19th, and then you just vote in person, because this is too precious. I wouldn't want you to miss that that opportunity not to vote. So if you don't receive it by this 15th, I would definitely go in person and vote. Thank you, Miss Marley, for this wonderful questions. All right, keep your questions coming. We have 2 minutes left. I just got word from the promoter here, and also that my time is almost up. So if there's any more questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. If not, we'll catch up with you next week. Now, just before I leave, I'd like to leave you with a couple announcement. The Breast Cancer Awareness Month is still going strong. This is the month of October. We have a lot in store for you at the Robert DuVernay Show. The real deal, very important, that we encourage you to subscribe, tell your friends about this important meeting that we have every Monday at 8 p.m. And every so often we have some breaking news in the middle of the week, because I would not want my audience to be in the dark should there be anything that I deem important that need to be shared. So however, I encourage you to encourage your friends to subscribe to this channel, both on Facebook and also on follow me on Twitter at Robert DuVernay. Very important. Also subscribe to my channel, because at the end of the month we'll be able to donate. Remember that, on behalf of the Robert, because you technically donate that money, although you're not paying a dime for it, but then again, you're contributing, and I'm sure the American Cancer will be thankful for your wishful thinking, because we were able to deliver to the American people and a sum. So if we have 10,000 people at the end of the month on the YouTube channel as subscribers, we'll be more than happy. We have those checks are lined up to send a check to the American Cancer Society during the month of October. So the date will be October 31st, which is on a Saturday, I believe. So we'd be more than happy and then to give you the notice. So tell your friends to sign on and subscribe as well, okay? Okay, I have a question here. For those of us who are undecided voters, what should we do? Well, if you are undecided voters, to be honest with you, um, you need to stay in the know. I think there are so many things that the latest out here. I mean, those of you who probably have student loans, I've heard today that VP Biden mentioned that anybody who's making less than 125,000, family of 125,000, he will wipe out your student loan. So, are you still an undecided voter? If you have student loan, then you may have a reason to to look this way. And then again, if you have some other issues that stimulate you, that the candidate present a good case. Because to me, a politician, I look at them as a prosecutor who presenting a case to a grand jury, then whoever present the best case at the end prevail. So I think we need to look at those issues, what's at stake, and then does that candidate in line with what? Because you know what you do, what have you done for me lately? Okay, so if the other party shows you something that in line with you, maybe it's something that law and order, that that you want law, you want business to thrive, all that good stuff. So maybe he's your answer. I think it was a good question that you raised, but I think we should definitely stay tuned to this channel and then do some research at your development. Go on the candidate website. Yeah, the best thing is go on the candidate website. Go on joebiden.com or trump.com, and then trump2020.com, and then you will see what the candidate is all about, what they're promoting, what they advancing, and then you will see if this is along the lines of what interests you. Okay, I think that will be it for this evening. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for logging in this evening. It was a great show. I look forward to seeing you every Monday. You're my source of inspiration. I look forward to seeing you on the 19th, which will be next week, God's willing. Again, stay tuned for two homages, of course. So stay tuned to Robert Duvernay live on a regular basis, and then tell your friends to subscribe. And then next week, Monday, by the time I meet with you again in the evening, most of you will probably cast your ballot at the early voting. Until now, we're going to continue to monitor the elections and the polling, and to come back to you with more information that I think will probably make you make a decision. Again, we're not here to persuade you on any candidate. This is not the Robert Duvernay Show, because it's a real deal. So we're not here to persuade anyone, but to present our case, to present the facts, nothing but the facts, and then you, the ultimate voter, will make your decision. Again, good evening. Have a wonderful night, and we look forward to seeing you. Until next, Robert Duvernay Show.